The Democratic Alliance in Gauteng is calling for the removal of the Johannesburg Water Board, and it comes as the city continues to experience a water crisis with ongoing supply problems. Joburg Water has since introduced level 1 water restrictions, including water throttling between 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. to manage the water shortages. And then a collective of civic organizations, along with the Johannesburg Crisis Alliance, have criticized the ongoing challenges in the city. Let's talk now to the executive director at the Water Community Action Network, or WaterCan, Dr Ferrial Adam. Ferrial, good morning. Thank you so much for being with us. And just to clarify to our viewers, a number of things that are happening with regard to this water crisis, but you're not asking for the removal of the board. What are you asking for?
Good morning, Iman, and to all your viewers. Yes, I think that there's a lot happening, and I think all of it is important because what we're seeing right now is kind of catastrophic, as you've said. What we are calling for is we are saying the first step, and that's where people are angry, is they just want water after 6 days. And if they can't get water after 6 days, can we just get better communication from the powers that be to actually explain what is going on? We've been noticing messages coming through, and it's the same message you get yesterday with a different date. So people are angry and they're not getting water. In fact, in terms of throttling, there are many, it's widespread. It's not even small areas. You saw the protest in Westbury. It's Coronationville, Melville, Emerentia, Greenside. The list goes on. And every time I say this, people say, but you forgot us and you forgot us, because that's how extensive it is. It's across Johannesburg. So we need to understand what exactly is going on. It can't just be the Iconov pump station that had a fire or an electricity problem about a week and a half ago. It has to be more than that. So we're calling for ring fencing of the funding to fix Joburg Water's infrastructure. If we continue with the amount of budget that they're getting right now, which is about 1.2, 1.3 billion, we are not going to get anywhere. And I was just informed yesterday that 1.3 billion is water and sanitation. Oh. It's the big reservoirs. So we need at least 3 billion, and that needs to be ring fenced, and it's urgent.
Yeah, I mean, as I talk to you, I'm grateful for remembering how we used to bath when we grew up out of a little basin, because that's what I've done for the last 4 or 5 days. Without water, where I live, people in my neighborhood as well, without water. And as you say, very poor communication on the exact nature of the problem and the exact understanding of what it's going to, or communication of what it's going to take to finally get water through the taps. Now, you've spoken to us about Go ahead.
Sorry, sorry, man.
All right. No, let me continue then. So you've called for emergency funding and you've detailed how that should work. Let's talk about what led us to here and why, there is an issue with the way the situation has been managed. We know that there's aging infrastructure. We know how much water we lose through leakage. We know how much water we're losing through unlawful usage of the water resource. Just talk to us about some of the factors that have created, from your vantage point, the crisis that we are in, and how you then evaluate the competency of the Joburg Water Board and everyone, all of the executives and their team, to actually rein in the situation and bring it under control.
So I think that is a good point. I think that I agree that, Ferrial Adam wrote a very good article that exposes some of the boards in terms of water boards, etc. And the Joburg Water one clearly does not have sufficient people on the board that have the technical know-how to actually understand what the situation is going on. So yes, they have the governance and finance, and that's important, but it's lacking the technical expertise, and that's something that needs to be looked at. I think in terms of leadership, I think the people on the ground, the Joburg Water managers, the ones that are actually getting things, we have no issues with them as civil society, but I think we need to look at the senior management, so the head of the organization, and then the City of Joburg, right? The mayor, and the fact that the City of Joburg has had a musical chairs of mayors has not helped the situation much. What we need to know as ordinary people is how bad is the situation? Because we can't seem to figure that out. We know drips and drabs. And we know that they're going to start work on 20 reservoirs. Which reservoirs are those? Because they're all leaking. And And where's the funding coming from that? And how long must we wait for something to happen? So I think that the kind of urgency we're seeing is lacking. For example, I know that there was a protest yesterday and they were blocking roads and blocking hospitals, etc., and that is a problem. But even the hospitals don't have water. Even the hospitals don't have water. Now, how do you have a key point like a hospital not having sufficient water to run operations or health issues? So I think that we're saying that if you don't fix the water infrastructure, it affects everything. It affects school, health, education. So this is where the focus must be. And we just don't get the sense that that is where it's at. They would rather go and have walks in the streets and attack spaza shops. But this is where they need to be putting their focus to fix what is going on in Joburg.
And as you say, very concerningly, when hospitals and schools don't have water, that has a really material impact on healthcare provision and on education, obviously. Now, Ferrial, there was talk of a day zero, particularly here in the city of Johannesburg. What do you know about that? And again, from the work that you're doing, how imminent or not is that possibility?
So, Iman, for the first time in a long time, we've been unable to actually really predict what's going to happen with our weather. We've been saying we're going to have a La Nina, so the rain's going to start in the middle of December. But we're not seeing, on the middle of summer, but we're not seeing much proof of a La Nina. So it is a little bit concerning in terms of the amount of water. I don't think it's a day zero yet. And I don't think we are at day zero. I think next year by April, May, we'll be fine. April, March, April, we'll be fine. But what is concerning is the rapid rate at which the Vaal Dam is getting lower. It has decreased, it hasn't increased, but when we do get concerned is when it hits 18%. We are sitting at about 35, 36% at the moment. But even then, we still have a backup in the Sterkfontein Dam. So you must remember, we get our water not just from the Vaal Dam. It's an integrated Vaal River system, which has like 5 dams that feed into the system. And if our dams run low, then you've got the Sterkfontein as a backup. The reason we don't use the Sterkfontein just all the time is because it has to be pumped, and that is expensive. So I think in terms of absolute no water, in terms of the amount of water in the system, I think we're fine. But if you ask people in Westbury, in Emmarentia, they will tell you they've been living day zero for the last 6 or 7 days.
Okay, so we've seen protests this morning in places like Westbury, and we've seen previously as well, Ferrial, people taking to the streets to try and get some attention and get some action. But, we're in the situation again. So, it's just the cycle repeating itself. What do you say is the most effective method and means for civil society to respond to this now, to hold feet to the fire and get something done that's credible and is plan and funding driven?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the anger is there, and people are protesting, and it's their right, to do that. There's another one being held tomorrow. But we are holding a Water Forum public meeting. So we're having civil society get together with all different areas, different organizations. And from there, we're trying to look at a few things. One of it, Iman, is we have...
All right, well...
We also want to have an engagement with them. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we just lost you for a moment, but you're welcome to wrap, Ferrial.
Sorry, can you hear me? Hi, Iman.
All right, we'll leave it there then. We are losing our connection with Ferrial, but I think she's given us enough information